Liverpool have one hand on the Premier League title after beating Manchester City by 2-0 in what can only be described as a dominant, controlling performance, and in this video we're going to be breaking down how they did it. Before the game even started, City were dealt a rather worrying problem. What do they do without Erling Haaland? And this is what Pep Guardiola came up with. They had their building up back three of Gvardiol, Ake and Kuzanov. You have that midfield two of Lewis and Nico once Lewis inverts into midfield, and then you're looking towards the wingers, Doku and Savinho, arguably their most dangerous outlets. A midfield or front attacking three of De Bruyne, Marmoush and Foden was a really interesting look, and I think this was down to try to overload the midfield of Liverpool to really bring them inside and give those 1v1 situations between the likes of Robertson and Savinho and Doku and Trent Alexander-Arnold. In fact, Doku managed to do quite a lot against Trent, but it was later down the line that he really struggled to create any kind of end product, and that was down to the way that Liverpool were defending. Liverpool, from the offset, made sure that the lines were really compact, and this is the first major thing that they did so well. The real front four of Liverpool's 4-2-4 dropped back and didn't really press all too much. This gave them really condensed lines, and it's these lines that hurt the progression of City through the centre of the pitch, forcing them into these wide areas. Now, while you might think that's something that City might want, and it is something they would want, it's later down the line and what the players then did with the ball that was becoming a real issue, because if you had any runners off of the ball for City, you always had them followed by a Liverpool player, and even if you tried to play some kind of 1-2, the lines were so condensed and it was so difficult to get any kind of real space in the centre of the pitch that it meant that City were continuously having to resort to go backwards and always having to recycle the ball. This meant that they were never really able to enter this penalty area, and Liverpool ended up being quite comfortable. And this is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. You've got this Liverpool back line right here, and look how high they are. They're trying to push up as high as possible to try and maintain and condense those lines. Look, this is the midfield line, and then this, just off your screen, you can't see, but that's your attacking line. In line right here is Dominik Szoboszlai. We're going to take a look at him right now. Look, he's just over here, and you've got your condensing of the lines. It's really narrow, really good, really compact, and it means that these players can't get on the ball at all. It's super difficult for them to be able to do anything. And although they've got space to try and recycle, although Jeremy Doku on the far side has space, although Savinho can have his 1v1, they can't go through the centre. It's a big no-go zone, and this was a big thing that City did quite poorly, I'd say, but Liverpool did pretty brilliantly. I don't think City managed to progress the ball as quickly as they wanted to, but that was really well done due to Liverpool's aggression. I mean, look at Luis Diaz right here. Although him and Curtis Jones tended to swap on occasion, he had a load of aggression, and that prevented City from being composed on the ball to be able to push the ball through the centre of the pitch, again forcing them out wide. Once they did go out wide, if they ever had an option, you don't really have too much height here, if at all, and that means that crosses into the box were always dealt by the likes of Van Dijk and Konate. It meant that Liverpool had a real superiority in this game, and it felt like they weren't ever properly challenged. In this particular example, although it leads to a Man City goal that gets ruled out, look at the line that's being held. It's really good. The offside line is super important because of those players running in beyond. You're forcing the City players into situations and positions that they're not particularly too comfortable with or too happy with. Ideally, they'd like to be way further forwards, but it's due to this really good defensive composition that's made this City side have such a difficult time, and it's frankly pretty brilliant from Liverpool. City dominated possession, but it was Liverpool who struck first from this brilliant set piece. The ball goes short to Dominik Szoboszlai, who runs around the Man City defender. But notice the positioning of Robertson right here. He's holding off the City defender, preventing him from getting towards Szoboszlai, who's making a run towards that front post. This gives Szoboszlai the time and space to be able to play this great weight of pass through to the centre of the box. The next thing we need to notice, and probably the most important thing, is the positioning of one Mohamed Salah, who is currently off your screen. Look at him here. He's just on the edge, and he is completely unmarked. Just completely. He is as free as anything, and he's going to be making this starting run towards the centre of the box to allow for Dominik Szoboszlai's pass to get to him pretty readily. And then once that happens, he's going to make that run, and it's that run that's going to cause Man City so many problems, because it's going to give him the option to take a first time shot. It's unfortunate because Rico Lewis reads this pass quite well. He's unfortunate and unlucky not to get there, but the moment he doesn't get there, it's serious danger time, and Mo Salah manages to get a great shot. It gets deflected by Ake and jumps over Ederson in quite unfortunate circumstances, but it's a brilliantly worked goal, and Liverpool managed to take an early lead. While this composition and setup from Liverpool looks very defensive, and to a certain extent it was the perfect away performance because it meant that they were defensively resolute while also having a potency to go forwards. That potency came in the form of Luis Diaz and Mo Salah, making sure they're able to make driving runs into these channels, the wide areas. It's in these wide areas that City were willing to give up on occasion because they wanted to make sure that they were defensively solid through the centre. This gave Liverpool a real out, and it was through passes from Trent Alexander-Arnold, passes from Alexis McAllister, Gravenberch, that were able to play into these channels to best facilitate the running power of Luis Diaz and Mo Salah. The moment that they got into these wide areas, it's then about going back central, making sure you have runs from the likes of Jones, from the likes of Dominik Szoboszlai, to be able to get closer to the box. Although there wasn't a necessarily recognised striker on the pitch, I know Luis Diaz has played as a striker for the most part for Liverpool this season, but you didn't have the likes of a Diogo Jota or Darwin Núñez. Although there wasn't a striker, they still made some really good attacking runs, and it's really important to note and to see the way that they were able to move out to then go back in. It was really impressive from Liverpool, and to be able to bounce and transition from their defensive display just showed how good and how well they've worked on this particular system. And from that comes Liverpool's second goal. Again, really well worked, really high quality, but we need to take a look at Manchester City before we give Liverpool their flowers, because this is borderline unacceptable. I keep seeing it from City time after time again, and we need to talk about it again. So, you've got Jeremy Doku, you've got Marmoush, and you've got Phil Foden. Now, they're not pressurising the ball, which is absolutely fine. If that's a decision, a conscious decision that you have made not to pressurise the ball, that's okay. But then what you've got to do is not play such a high line. The line for Man City is about here. That's crazy. Genuinely. Although you're condensing the pitch, you cannot play a mid-block like this if you don't have the recovery pace to go back the other way. And all Liverpool did time after time again was exploit that down the sides. It was incredible. And when you've got a player with the quality, the passing range of Trent Alexander-Arnold, you're always going to be exposed. So as this goes over the top, you've got Mo Salah running in on goal because of the high line of Man City, all of them having to make recovery runs. It's just simply not good enough from a City perspective. But now let's talk about from a Liverpool perspective. It's brilliant. Quality, running and beyond. This is everything you want from a side that's playing away, to be able to stretch the play, utilise your quality, utilise your pace. And then in this particular instance, it's about Mo Salah. Mo Salah is absolutely phenomenal. He has 25 goals this season. He got another goal and assist in this game. I think it was something like 11 times this season he's got a goal and assist in the Premier League. It's absolutely phenomenal. He manages to let Gvardiol go goal side, and that's important because it gives Salah the opportunity to compose himself and then drift infield. It's the drifting infield that changes the momentum and moment in this match and in this particular goal, because it gives him the license to go and find the rest of his teammates. If he was to continue down this path on the outside of Gvardiol, although it might look a little bit more dangerous, it's easier for City to really snuff out. If he allows him to cut inside, that's where the real danger is, because he's able to bring his other teammates into play. Look at the runs of Dominik Szoboszlai, of Curtis Jones, and you've also got Luis Diaz on the back to be able to make any kind of movement. He finds Dominik Szoboszlai with a really good pass, and then you're looking for the Man City players to possibly close down a little bit faster. I don't think Kuznetsov does a bad job here at all, and it's just a little bit unfortunate, but I think the quickness of shot from Dominik Szoboszlai takes almost everyone off guard, especially because he's on his left foot. Remember, Dominik Szoboszlai is actually right-footed, so the idea that he's taking the shot with his left foot might have caught the City defenders off guard somewhat, expecting him to cut back onto his right. He takes that early shot and fires it just across Ederson, so not to his left, or not to Szoboszlai's left, not to Ederson's right, but actually across, back towards the right-hand post. And it's this that I think catches both Ederson off guard because it goes through the legs of Kusanov and the Man City defenders. Either way, it's a fantastically worked goal by Liverpool that gave them that real momentum in the match and allowed them to see the game out with a perfect 2-0 victory. And in this season, in this Premier League campaign, they've actually beaten City. They've done the double over them without even conceding a goal. And in this particular game, they only conceded an XG of about 0.6. It was an incredible performance, a top class display, and one that I believe really showcased them as champions. And like I said earlier, they have one hand on the Premier League title. But of course, guys, let me know what you think in the comment section below. I would love to hear from you. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below on Liverpool and everything surrounding this, I believe, champions display. Let me know your thoughts. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Hope you learned something new. And I hope to see you in the next one. But until then, my friends, take care.